Hey everyone, before I get started, I just want to remind you that if you like my content, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and then join the Militia Man and Crew Patreon community by clicking the link in the caption. Hey, good evening everybody. Happy Monday. I hope everybody's doing great. I know the weather's still changing. I like to say that because guess what? This is what happens during the wintertime. It's during the holiday seasons and the festivities are beginning. I see all the lights out and stuff and people are happy. That's great. So enjoy your night, enjoy your week, and let's get started. Hey, here's an article today that's called "The Central Bank of Iraq Warns Against Fake Companies for Trading and Investment Companies." Why is it important? Well, the Central Bank of Iraq warns the public of existence of fictitious electronic stock trading companies claiming to be licensed by the bank. The states that it does not grant a release or a license to companies trading in, I like this part, stocks, metals, and cryptocurrencies. This is coming from the Central Bank of Iraq, talking about, hey, banks are going to be dealing with stocks, metals, and cryptocurrencies. And he's noting that Iraq has taken all legal measures against such fictitious companies. So it kind of gives you an idea, is like, well, what's coming into the future? They're talking about stocks, metals, and cryptocurrencies. And one of the articles, the way that it translated, said digital. Okay, so that's interesting because I think Iraq's currency, when it changes hands, when they do their payments, again, for those salaries that are coming supposedly tomorrow, are going to be electronic. And let's keep in mind, too, that today was the 16th, and what were they doing in the United States of America? In Los Angeles and Detroit, they were allowing electronic passports for Iraqis. That's important, and you have to say, well, why? And then, but you're seeing that they're, we just mentioned electronic payments for salaries. A lot of those retired folks that left the country that had government jobs are getting payments, and sometimes they're probably delayed, just like everywhere else, right? And for the last 3 months, they've been delayed, and we've been waiting for stuff like that. But interestingly enough, they're just basically talking about that and tying it in. Think about it for a minute. If you have electronic card, okay, digital, and then if you're going to have talking about stocks, metals, and cryptocurrencies, you've got to remember CBDCs, electronic, new technologies. We've talked about XRP. We've talked about Ripple in the past. Are they going to be related? Well, of course they're going to be related, because all countries around the world are going to have a communication. They're going to have the same technology. And the interesting thing is, we're going to watch and see, but it looks like Ripple, RLUSD, is ready to come out tomorrow. And that's for the United States. And that's Ripple, RLUSD, and that's the United States dollar. And it's going to be backed by assets. And so that's why it's really important, because Iraq's currency in the future, we believe, is probably going to be a component of that system that is going to be an asset, because Iraq has massive amounts of assets. And we're going to talk about something that's a component that maybe you guys didn't really realize of late, is that we talk about oil, and we talk about non-oil revenues, and we talk about, the taxes and tariffs and fees from the borders that are all electronic, and they're already happening. So keep that in mind when you get to the bigger picture, okay? So basically, he stresses the need for victims of these fictitious companies to take legal action against and inform the relevant authorities of this. So the central bank is front-running right now, talking about, hey, we know that there's going to be a problem. We know there's probably already starting to be a problem, so let's fix it. So that's pretty big. I like Iraq taking the front stage. I think it's good. So here's another article that's kind of fascinating too, is that after the Great Achievement, Iraq efforts to cover a third of the general budget for tourism imports. So what are we talking about? Well, we just mentioned non-oil revenue streams. Okay, this is big, you guys. The impact is going to be a massive boom for Iraq. In a great achievement for Iraq, after the Great Achievement, it says Iraq's efforts to cover a third of the general budget off of tourism. That's a lot of money, you guys. I mean, right now, well, just recently in the past, it's been as, maybe 85 to 95% of oil pays for all the budget. But here's this article is telling you that they're going to cover a third of the general budget with the tourism revenue. I've brought this up in patreon.com, MM&C-Crew, right? In their Discord chat room, at Militia Man's chat room. So when you come in, you can find that. But we talk about some of these things, and we've talked about the fact that millions, tens of millions of people come into Iraq for tourism every year. That's in perpetuity. That's because of the historic and religious nature of Iraq and how far back in time they have some of the most ancient artifacts in the world. Okay, so do some research on that, and you're going to see, wow, that's a lot of people. 10 million people. Think about it for a minute. 10 million people, even maybe it's, what if it was 20 million? Okay, it doesn't matter. Each meal, for instance, is equivalent to about $5, $10, or $15 per person per meal, depending on what you eat, right? So think about that. When they come in, they're going to eat 3 meals a day real close. Well, yeah, not always, but some of them will. Maybe some will eat more. So the ultimate thing is what I'm talking about is that just in food alone, to feed the people coming in, that many millions of people, they need a lot of food to do that in the country, okay? And they also need a lot of other things, housing, lodging, think about it. So the money is going to be like, wow, it's big. So, okay, keep that in mind. So look, and it says here in a great achievement for Iraq, the Arab Tourism Organization chose Baghdad as the capital of the Arab tourism for 2025. While the Iraqi Ministry of Culture, Tourism, and Antiquities confirms that its goal is for tourism to have a large resource of at least 1/3 of Iraq's budget. Specialists provided a set of tips to make optimal use of this occasion. There's plenty more data in the article, but that's one of the biggest things, is that ultimately that they're going to pay 1/3 of Iraq's budget. That's really big. I think we're going to find that there's going to be more to come tonight that is, it's going to make you think. Parliamentary finance says here, initial understandings with the region regarding its oil file. And there's going to be, I think there's 2 of these. This is just a brief one, but there was visits made by the parliamentary delegation to Erbil were aimed at reaching good results and understandings acceptable to both parties, with both parties meaning Baghdad and Erbil, regarding oil and non-oil revenues, as well as adapting, I like the word adapting, the contracts. That's what it says, as well as adapting the contracts concluded by the region with foreign companies to extract and transport oil. So what are we talking about here? There's something that's happening that was published in the Gazette about the budget law, the federal budget law. And we talked about Article 12, remember? Okay, so keep that in mind. So it says, Atwani explains that the understandings with the region aim to find a mechanism to establish a suitable basis for unification or reaching convictions regarding oil pricing. In order for the region to begin extracting and transporting oil, an agreement must be reached on a specific mechanism. I'm fairly sure that 4805 that's already been published, that's not public yet, it's in the Gazette, but they don't let you access it. That's probably what they're talking about. And now we're going to see a little more depth in another article that talks about specifically which one that we're talking about. I think that Militia Man and Crew have known about it, but it was talked about, but it wasn't public information, which is fine. And so we retain that kind of stuff just in case, because if we get it wrong, we don't want to, we don't want to do that. But it was isolated enough to figure out that information is going to be in public print today. So that's good. Okay. It says here that the formula, well, I'll go back just a smidge. It says, what we have reached in our initial approval of the possibility of the regional government adapting its contracts. So they're talking about adapting. That means change contracts according to division that is in line with the Constitution, for the formula of the contracts to change from partnership to production and profit sharing. Look, equivalency is going to be really important, you guys, because if you have a contract, you're going to have to do something legally and morally, right, ethically. Okay, you can't just ruin somebody over a contract. It has to be an equivalency. That's where I come from. I've stood by that for years. Okay, so it's the Federal Ministry of Finance announced yesterday on Sunday an agreement with Kurdistan region regarding the release of salaries for employees and the retirees in the region, which includes the releases of salaries for employees of the region of the month of November starting from the date of yesterday, provided that the rest of the treatments and observations are completed in coordination with the ministerial team. I'm fairly sure a suitable basis would be an exchange rate mechanism, because there's a suitable basis. What's your base price? What is that number? What is the dinar going to be at? Okay, that's where they're talking about, I think. So we're going to find a little bit more coming. Another article is called the Parliamentary Support for Revenue Diversification Trends. This one is interesting in the sense that it says, the Finance Committee in the House of Representatives is heading a parliamentary movement to support the government trends aimed at diversifying revenues and doubling non-oil revenues, and seeking to coordinate with the Kurdistan region government with the aim of controlling the rhythms of work with the center, especially in the work of border crossings. So Baghdad and Erbil, talking about agreements and controlling the borders crossings. Okay, that's electronic, and that's where the money is going to flow. So they're talking about a third just from tourism of the budget, and now they're talking about even expansion of doubling, which is doubling the revenues that come from non-oil, right? So you think, well, if they're going to double those, what were they before? Let's double them. And then you see the tourism is going to be 1/3 of the total budget. That's massive. This country is going to make a lot of money, everybody. Okay. Another thing we didn't really talk about in the past is that you guys think about that Syrian move where the Syrian Assad was deposed and went over to Russia, and them opening that oil pipeline. It's amazing. I think it's fascinating. So we're not talking about that tonight, but I just wanted, it's a sidebar. It says the Finance Committee represents the House of Representatives in its oversight role in seeking to increase the achievement of non-oil revenues. And they go on to say it follows up and monitors the institutions of the region to encourage them to increase these revenues. So there's a push to get the, all the state institutions to, hey, let's work on this, let's get it better. So effectively, everybody in the country is going to benefit from it. So the more the merrier, I think. Okay, he adds that the visits made by a parliamentary delegation to Erbil earlier were aimed at reaching good results and understandings acceptable to both parties, Baghdad and Erbil, regarding the oil and non-oil revenues, as well as adapting contracts, adjusting contracts, remember, because if the exchange rate changes, contracts will have to be adjusted, and they concluded by the region with foreign companies to extract and transport oil, considering that the government has fixed in the budget items a national average for the price of production costs. So something that just was fixed, they said that it's been done. 4805, what is it about? Budget law, what's the relationship, depending on which paragraph you read, is related to oil, and which will have a reflection on the sustainable basis, which is the mechanism. Okay, how much? That's really what it's about, in my belief. Okay, it says that Atwani says that understands that the region aimed to find a mechanism to establish a suitable basis for unification. Unification means one. Or reaching convictions regarding oil prices so that the region can begin extracting, transporting oil. We must agree on a specific mechanism. So we must agree on that. So have they done that yet? Is that what's in 4805 that they published in the Gazette the other day? Is that why they haven't allowed the public to see it yet? Is because they're getting ready to expose that portion of the investment budget? I would say so. It says we must agree on a specific mechanism, and what we have reached is an initial approval of the possibility of a regional government adapting its contracts. In other words, you have to change those contracts according to the vision that is in line with the Constitution, and that the contract formula So in other words, you need a basis, a sustainable basis for the formula to be applied. Same with the salaries, same with the oil, right? We've talked about all that stuff. And I think we're going to turn out to be spot on. And I hope that's the case. But I have a good understanding of what we're doing. And I got a strong feeling. And I'm really excited about it because I think that's exactly what we're going to see. Partnership, production to profit sharing. Yeah, so that's a big issue. There's a little bit more here in this article. Actually, it's kind of long. This is an in-depth one from the first one I read to you. It says the Finance Committee is seeking to find solutions regarding the delivery of those non-oil revenues. He says, at 20, he keeps going. He says, regarding non-oil revenues, the regional government mentioned numbers that differ from those mentioned by the federal government, and we will boycott this data. During our meeting with the regional's office, we stressed the need to unify customs tariffs and ports to regulate and increase revenues and prevent tax evasion, and to implement automation and the digital system. The digital system, isn't that interesting? Digital currency, digital money, digital payments, digital borders, all of that. Okay, so the region has made great strides in this area, and we also stressed, he says we also stress the need to localize the salaries. You see, I covered all of those things. The salaries, the oil, and that's what they just did. So it says the region has made great strides in this area. We also stress the need to localize those salaries of all the regions of employees. The goal of these discussions and visits to the region is to end these intersections and differences for everyone to work on maximizing revenues. So get rid of your differences, okay, all the crossroads, get rid of those, and for the regional government to begin exporting oil after setting the issue of production costs. Okay, so they need that basis, right? So that's what we're waiting for. And here we go, you guys, it's coming up. It says the Finance Committee, in the presence of the Parliamentary Oil and Gas Committee and the Undersecretary of Extraction at the Ministry of Oil, along with the senior staff in the ministry, held a meeting to discuss the amendment. Isn't that what we've been watching for in that budget and in the Gazette? I think so. Here it is. Article 12. Now they're going to get specific. Paragraph 2C of the federal budget law. Boom. There you go. It's right there, black and white. Regarding amending the cost of extraction and transportation of oil from the Kurdistan region. They need that basis. That's fascinating, you guys. Fascinating. All right, so it goes on to say the Finance Committee, members of the Oil Committee, and the Ministry of Oil regarding the possibility of implementing the amendment. The possibility of implementing the amendment is like probably, being light. In other words, they're going to do it. But anyway, it goes on and explains that the discussions are ongoing until the final report on the amendment is prepared. I'm not so sure that's the case, you guys. I think it's sitting there in the Gazette. They just are waiting for the time to share it with us. That's what they're saying here. But anyway, he explains the amendment to the proposal stipulated that compensation for companies operating in Iraq, so those are the contracts, in the Kurdistan region be determined by an international consulting company, and we know that they've been involved, specializing in evaluating each field and its production costs. So we are in favor of addressing the situation. So they're on board with having it taken care of and getting it done. Let's see here. It says there's in my view, and what I put down in my Patreon account was that there seems to be a little more specifics on the suitable basis for unification of reaching convictions towards oil prices. I imagine these specific measures they will use will be found in Article 12, paragraph 2C, that is yet to be exposed in the Gazette. It's been exposed that it's there, but you can't open it to find out all of it. And I think that paragraph 2 and C are what we're waiting to see, which will hopefully have something that we're looking for, which is going to be it's going to be exchange rate oriented. Okay, it's going to have that suitable basis, if you will. Okay, so ultimately, with an exchange rate to be adapted or changed, contracts will need to be as well. They're talking about contracts. And just as the price of a barrel of oil will be, well, my question would be was like, how many dinars will it be in that price basis? How many dinars? Because look, it's gonna be a whole different world, you guys. If it's a digital world, they're gonna be able to do it electronically. They're gonna do it quickly. Now, remember, back up a little bit. So the Iraqi citizens have been notified that they can get passports, electronic passports, and obviously there's a lot of Iraqis in the United States, in Los Angeles, in the Detroit area, in Michigan, okay, Dearborn, okay, there's all kinds of places in the United States. I think San Diego, California, for instance, but they only mentioned the two. But there's a big population of Iraqis in the United States, and if they're still holding Iraqi dinar, still have bank accounts in Iraq, they're going to have significant amount of purchasing power coming their way. And one of the things they talked about in the past was bringing home the patriots from Iraq to do what? To bring their money home to do help finance the development road project and all the new businesses. You think about it, there's a lot of people that are out there that want to come home. They were displaced, if you will. And so you got to keep that in mind, because they probably did those electronic passports for a reason, so that those folks can have the heads up. That's a theory I have. Okay, so again, when you're talking about when these people with a lot of money and they're going to come home and they're going to repatriate their money and they're going to repatriate a lot of it, that, you know what, the Iraqi Stock Exchange is going to be a beneficiary of that, because all those public companies, or the private companies, I should say, are going to come and flourish because they have a lot of business to do. You know, all the retail, all the commercial, all the industrial. There's a lot of businesses in Iraq that are going to thrive. And you see signs of that in the Iraqi Stock Exchange. It's been pretty much on a tear. Their inflation's low. The investment side of things, there's been sovereign guarantees for foreign entities, but they're giving incentives. We talked about that stuff already too. So those are just little bits of add-ons. But so here it is. The Security Exchange Authority discusses the mechanism. Again, a mechanism is interesting for entering the digital exchange platform. So we just talked about the central bank talking about cryptocurrencies. Those are effectively going to be digital exchanges. It's almost instantaneous payments. Remember XRP? Isn't that blockchain? Okay, so anyway, that's how you can deduce that from this article. So while discussing the mechanism for entering the market's digital exchange platform, that was discussed in Dubai with Iraq. So Dubai is a massive money place, you guys. So obviously, if Iraq and these guys are effectively partners in a partnership, for instance, that's going to be really big. Okay, so it says that the statement by the commission received by the Iraqi News, or by Iraq News, the chairman of the Iraqi Securities Commission, he met with the Abu Dhabi CEO of Abu Dhabi Securities Market Group. And what did they discuss? Well, they discussed ways to enhance cooperation between the Iraq Stock Exchange and the Abu Dhabi securities market, and focused on signing joint cooperation agreements aimed at exchanging expertise, developing work mechanisms in the financial markets. And he goes on and adds that the mechanism for the Iraqi Stock Exchange to enter the digital exchange platform launched by the Abu Dhabi Securities Exchange. They discussed as the exchange platform is the first digital exchange center in the region based on the mutual market access model, which currently includes. So the mechanism of the stock exchange to enter the digital exchange platform launched by the Abu Dhabi Securities Exchange in 2022 was discussed, as the exchange platform is the first digital exchange center in the region based on the mutual market access model, which indicates and currently includes 8 participating financial markets. I think there's going to be more than that by far that they're going to talk about. It says that this gentleman, Al-Hamas, he stressed the importance of this cooperation in enhancing the role of Iraqi Stock Exchange at the regional level. So that's not just Abu Dhabi, but it's the region. That's pretty big, you guys. A lot of money in the Middle East. Regional level, excuse me, you guys, as well as developing the investment environment in the totality of Iraq. So it says Abu Dhabi Securities Exchange readiness to support this initiative. They are now in cooperation with the Iraqi authority. It will enhance the exchange of knowledge and expertise between the regional financial markets and enhance the role of financial markets and their economic growth. He goes on to say that the Dhabi's securities markets believes, the strength of the cooperation between the two, between the financial markets, and we look forward to achieving the joint successes with the Iraqi Securities Commission, which will contribute to developing financial markets and enhancing investment in the region. Abu Dhabi is already pretty big. Iraq's going to be joining the group. So I have a feeling that the ISX is going to get a nice big boost here pretty soon. Well, they've already done it, but they're going to get even bigger. But he says it's noteworthy that Hamas participated in the Middle East Investors Relations Association, the annual conference for the year of 2024, which was held in the UAE capital, Abu Dhabi, in partnership with the Abu Dhabi Securities Exchange. It says the conference was attended by more than 800 leaders and experts, including representatives of 150 issuers, companies issuing stock, okay, from the GCC and the Middle East countries. There's 33 financial markets, so just in 33 additional markets, in addition to what? More than 150 participants in the local and international financial markets. Okay, that paragraph should have you reeling right now and excited. So, it's just good information. It's fascinating. The conference also provided a unique platform for exchanging insights and ideas among more than 80 experts from around the world who discussed important issues affecting those capital markets, such as the growth of the GCC markets, the role of the artificial intelligence. That's a big deal, you guys. It's new, it's upcoming, it's not going to go away. They're talking about investor relations and the integration of environmental, social, and governance criteria into Islamic finance. There's a thing called Sukuk, S-U-K-U-K. Think about that. It's one of the largest growing investment opportunities in the Muslim world. It's perfect. They've been hitting it. They've been knocking it out of the park. Okay, so the joint cooperation between the Iraqi Security Commissions and the Abu Dhabi securities market reflects Iraq's commitment to developing the investment environment, enhancing the role of financial markets, and supporting the regional economic growth. So my view is look, there's good reason that this partnership is happening between the Iraq Security Exchange Authority and the Abu Dhabi market. Those 800 leaders, 80 experts, 150 participants, they know what Iraq is about to experience. In my view, the growth is going to be massive. Abu Dhabi is going to gain from Iraq, just as Iraq's going to gain from being associated with them. Gathering that many issuers, experts in financial markets is powerful. Think about the numbers of those, you guys. This has just happened. This is all about now. This is what we're seeing. All the things that we at MM&C are bringing to you guys, all that news that the wonderful Super Samson brings us, she's been killing it. Her ability to be able to gather news and bring it in a timely manner, organize it so that I can do my analysis and bring this stuff to you is powerful, I believe. I want to thank her. I want to thank Pompey Peter. I want to thank Petra. I want to thank Gigi. I want to thank Greg. I want to thank everybody in the crew. I want to thank Brian the Lion, who brings us a spiritual tone. I think it's fascinating that all of us were brought together for a reason. And I think that reason is to be here towards the end of something that's really going to be powerful for so many people, to be able to help so many people. And that's what MM&Crew does. We try to help people as best we can. And we try to bring that integrity. And I think you guys know that. So anyway, what is at the core of the apparently is that the article paragraph 12, 2C, remember? That's a big portion of it. That hasn't been exposed just quite yet, and that's what we're looking for, I hope, of that federal budget law. So the item 4805 was published in the Gazette and yet to be open to the public to see. All of this is looking to be a part of the mechanism that is likely to have already established that mechanism, I believe they have, for the suitable basis for pricing. Okay, so that would be an exchange rate. That would be in exchange rate. That is what we're waiting to see, and obviously the ministerial office of the Justice Department in the Gazette, are they going to add more? Are they going to make more public? Are they going to do it soon? Are they going to do it in conjunction with Al-Alaq at the central bank? Because central bank is the one that's going to be in charge of the exchange rate and to decide that. I think at the final point, I think they have the blessing of the United States Treasury. I think Iraq has the blessing of the World Bank. I think Iraq has got the blessing of the Bank of International Settlements. And I have a feeling that the World Trade Organization is just waiting and biting their knuckles, because they know that the amount of money that's going to move through there is going to be unbelievable in trade. So thank you for being with me tonight, everybody. I appreciate it. Please do me a favor. Hit the like button. Grab that subscribe. And again, thank you for your donations at Zelle, Venmo, and PayPal, because truly, you guys, with that help, has kept this going and into the future. So thank you very much. We'll see you soon, and have a great week. Once again, guys, don't forget to hit that like button if you like this content. Subscribe to the channel or join us at the Militia Man and Crew Patreon community for even more exclusive content. You can also donate to this channel by hitting the links in the banner to help keep this page up and running. Your generous support is greatly appreciated, as always. Much, much appreciated. Thank you so much, and have a great day.